From TMP to TTNG, for sure the cure and those tired meme jeans. Hella Kinsella and the promise ring. Sunny day, real estate and rights this spring. Prince Twinkle daddies help keep the dream alive. I constantly thank God for Algernon and Remo Christie front drive. Mineral, snowing, high tide hotelier and more. Rio Limo only consists of the DC emotive hardcore. But you gotta admit, Kyle and Ellie really on that emo bullshit. You gotta admit that Kyle and Ellie really on that emo bullshit. Have you heard the tired and disavowed lonely word? Have you heard the disavowed and lonely word? Have you heard the lonely disavowed word? Have you heard the tired and lonely disavowed word?
Welcome to episode 37 of the E-Word. This is Kyle, recording here in Madison, Wisconsin. As always, I'm joined by my co-host and my friend Ellie. You're in Austin, Texas.
And it makes me feel so happy every time you call me your friend.
My internet friend, Ellie.
He will never do it outside of the podcast.
So this is our 2015 episode. We're going to be talking about the two records that basically won, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second after we introduce our guests. We have two of them. One of them is Corey Purvis, who is an artist and runs Near Mint Records. Corey, what's up?
Hello.
And you're in Fort Wayne, Indiana?
Yep, Fort Wayne, Indiana.
How's that?
It's all right, but not the best city for a music industry or really the arts, but it is affordable.
I went to a Power Violence festival in Fort Wayne.
That makes sense.
Midwest Power Violence pops off.
The Midwest and hardcore, I feel like says it. There's always been a hardcore scene, like in even the smaller cities that I guess hung around growing up. But yeah, the Midwest is weird. But Fort Wayne for a bigger city, it's like in my opinion, there's like three main big cities in Indiana, and for the music scene here compared to the others, it's really weak. Like most of the bands skip Fort Wayne, so it kind of sucks.
We also have one other guest, and that would be Isaac, who plays in the band Barely Civil.
Yeah, that's me.
What's up? You're in Oshkosh, Wisconsin?
Beautiful Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
How's that?
I mean, it's fine.
All right. So this is our 2015 episode. So basically two albums won. One was The World is a Beautiful Place, Harmlessness, but we didn't want to do another episode we didn't want to deep dive another record from a band that we had on 2 episodes ago. In case you missed it, there's an episode with Chris Teddy. That's a deep dive of Whenever If Ever. And then we tried to go after the second album, and that was Turnover with Peripheral Vision, and ultimately they passed on the opportunity to come on the podcast because, as you all know, probably that new album just got announced and they're on an album cycle. And then kind of chased after Jeff, who runs Run for Cover, couldn't connect. And then by the time I had the idea to try and contact Will Yip, it had been like a month. We're going to do 2015 with 2 cool guests all together right now. Isaac, I know Harmlessness is one of your favorite records of all time or something, right?
Yes, absolutely. I love it.
Sick. And Corey, 2015 was a big year for you and Near Mint, so I figured it would be cool to get your perspective on things.
Yeah, for sure. And Harmlessness is definitely important to me too, because I worked closely with The World Is right around that time, and Broken World Media. Mm-hmm. So that was Yeah, very fitting.
Before we go back in the time machine and go back to 2015, which is hardly even nostalgic at this point, I feel like, wanted to do some plugs at the top. Corey, I know Near Mint's been kind of active, more so than like the past couple of years right now. So if you want to talk about that and what you're up to and what you're working on and stuff.
Okay, yeah. So for Near Mint, I have two artists I'm focusing on right now. One is Subliminal Sex, which is their debut album, self-titled, which comes out in November, which you can check out. The first single, which just came out last week. And then another artist, I'm not sure exactly when the stuff is going to come out, but Sirius Black, he's a rapper that I've been working with and managing. We just recorded a new album for him, which is crazy that we're kind of shopping around a little bit as a label, like with other labels, to try to do something bigger. So that's what's going on kind of with Near Mint right now.
Cool. And you put out the Taking Meds record, right?
Yeah. The Taking Meds, I Hate Me came out July 12th. And yeah, that's that's a main release this year. And then also Flat Sound, Old Soil cassettes, I just put that out like a month ago. Check that out.
Cool. Isaac, what's up with Barely Civil? You got some hot shows coming up?
Yeah, we got some hot shows coming up. We just announced a run down to Fest, so that's exciting. We're playing that with a lot of artists that we really like, and I don't know, really stoked for that. We are working on demoing LP2. I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about that yet. And then we have some other future plans that are kind of getting sorted out now.
Sweet. And aren't you playing with Cara soon?
Yeah, that's beginning of October. We're playing a show with them in Milwaukee. Really excited about it. The Facebook event just went up last night. And yeah, I don't know. I really like that band, and so does everyone else in my band. So hopefully that's a good show.
It's a good band.
They're such a good band.
Ellie, do you want to plug your blog or anything?
Yeah, sure. I've been doing a running series on my blog, youdon'tneedmaps.wordpress.com. I'm doing a series called Bands You Weren't Supposed to Like, where I look at like quote unquote fake emo bands from the early mid 2000s, like Fall Out Boy and Paramore and Under Oath and The Used, and just kind of like looking at them with a lens of like honest critical engagement that they did not get at the time because they were, dismissed as like fluffy kid shit, and just kind of giving it the chance that they always deserved.
This has been like really getting out there too. Like Census Fail read your piece about Census Fail.
And Ian Cohen like retweeted it, and that got me like a whole bunch more followers. I've grown like 100 something more like individual followers since I started the series. It's kind of crazy.
Shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I'm stoked on it. Under Oath piece should be coming out next Tuesday. Stay tuned.
All right. So 2015, as we've been kicking these off, we start off with where were you in 2015? What were you doing? What were you listening to? Personally, for me, this was me like really up to the brim listening to emo, and I think like this is the year I was like really fucking like way too into vinyl collecting. Like this is like the start of it for me. Like I was on Vinyl Collective, like buying the rarest variant of all these records on this list basically, and like getting real fucking cringe about it and stuff. Just some like memorable shows are happening too. Like I remember seeing, I think it was a co-headline with The World Is and Pianos Become the Teeth and like Turnover were like the first of four, and it was like 2 weeks after Peripheral Vision came out, and like people were there to see Turnover and like didn't give a fuck about the other bands and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, because I remember that was the tour where like The World Is were touring, where you could like pre-order Harmlessness at their merch table before it was even out and stuff like that, and then you got like a secret cassette tape that only people that pre-order at a show got and stuff. So yeah, I was listening to all this shit when it was coming out, and just like watching Tuesdays with Tay at like every week. yeah, it was kind of a cool time. It was a pretty exciting time.
Yeah, big time. I think at this time I was living in Chicago, um, and so I was seeing a lot of like these tours as they were coming through, and also this was when I feel like the hardcore scene kind of like bounced back from where it was in 2014. And you had like huge releases from Harm's Way and Turnstile. You had like Ceremony going in their like Interpol direction. This is also like a pretty big year for hip hop because this is To Pimp a Butterfly and I Don't Like Shit, I Don't Go Outside. Those were like some pretty huge releases for me that year. So yeah, pretty much just like just a pretty fun, eclectic year for me personally.
So yeah, for me in 2015, well, actually, let me back up a little bit. So like earlier in my life, like in high school, I was doing design for basically like the MySpace era. Not to get too off topic. So like I kind of broke off from that because it died, and then went through school, and then after graduating, going into 2014, I kind of was just getting into this newer scene, like whatever you'd call this stuff, the revival or whatever. So I feel like right around 2015 was like a year of me like really starting to get comfortable working in the scene, but also just being like familiar with the band. And to touch on the world is like everyone else, I was super into their music around then, like everyone else, and was doing a lot of merch designs for them, and then working really closely with Broken World, and basically like almost all of their bands I would work with some merch. So I feel like I was really heavily or closely involved with the whole world is like around the Harmlessness release. And then I remember Broken World Fest, it came out, or Harmlessness, I can't remember the exact release date, but it came out around that fest, which I went to, which I felt like was just, I don't know, an important moment for emo or whatever you want to call it.
Was that Broken World Fest 1?
No, that would have been, it was in 20,
Oh,
or wait,
2016.
Did Harmlessness come out in 2016 or 2015?
2015.
2015.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, so this was right after, yeah, it would have been after it came out. My bad. So yeah, it was early 2016. Did it come out the end of 2015?
Yeah.
In September. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because I remember I booked them around on their tour when they were doing those pre-orders you were talking about. It's just all kind of a blur, so I'm trying to remember. But I remember Harmlessness still being fresh around Broken World Fest. But yeah, that was 2016, so I got a little bit ahead there. But yeah, definitely super involved with the World Is and Broken World in 2015 though.
I was a junior in high school, a senior in high school, around there. Basically, I was scouring the Bandcamp post-rock tag and listening to everything that was free on there. And I was also playing in a Green Day cover band called Barely Civil.
That's so sick.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Green Day album?
I don't like any of them.
Oh, well.
I listened to too much post-rock, and then I hated Green Day. Other than that, I was just at school and not doing anything.
Wait, are you just joking about Barely Civil being like a pop punk band?
No, not at all. Not in any way. We were a Green Day cover band,
Oh my God.
and then I listened to Explosions in the Sky, and I was like, I want to do that instead. Eventually, we kind of started working some of that in there, but still playing Green Day covers, and then eventually not playing Green Day covers.
Hey, Kyle, do you know what I just remembered?
What's that?
The tail end of 2015 is when I started doing the emo history lessons, like October of that year,
Oh.
which is what got me to become a mod of our emo. So without that, I highly doubt that we would be doing this podcast right now.
There you go. Thank you, 2015.
Yeah.
Also,
Big.
I guess I did forget. I was kind of talking from the perspective of being an artist. I didn't even talk about Near Mint.
Yeah.
So Near Mint, 2015 was the first year that we signed an artist and really focused on being a quote unquote real label. And we signed the Obsessives, and Heck No Nancy came out on vinyl it was September 2015, and then Marietta right after that, actually, which we can talk about more. But yeah, so Near Mint in 2015, that was kind of probably our most important year, or second most important. I don't know, probably most important.
Was that the year that you were doing the Knuckle Puck tape too?
Yeah, that was early 2015. That was our fourth release, so
Yeah.
that was like February or something of 2015.
That actually reminds me. 2015 was the year that I like first got into contact with James Cassar. He said that if I don't mention him at least 5 times in the podcast, he's going to drop us. So there's that. And I think I also at some point in 2015 like emailed Corey and asked him to do a merch design for us and never followed through on that.
Because you were a Green Day cover
Yeah,
band.
that happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Window shoppers is what I call you.
Yeah. Hey, it worked out.
It's true.
I guess for some more context, I feel like I could fill in some blanks here. James Cassar was a co-founder of Near Mint Records. Is that the proper terminology here?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah, we started together.
Yeah.
And he and I both were equally involved in the label up until what was it, like the end of 2017, and he's still like partially involved in the label, without getting like too deep into it, but it's really just me though who runs it now.
Mm-hmm. And then another blank that could be filled in. You've done the cover art for Barely Civil's full length, which is under James's management.
Yep.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And my best friend Matt recorded their album.
Yeah.
So-
And
Oh, yeah.
Chris from Subliminal Sex assisted with the engineering on that.
Yeah, the band that I'm releasing right now on Near
Yeah.
Mint. Small world.
It all ties up super nice.
Well, and then there's one more thing. The Barely Civil record is out on a label that James manages.
Yep.
All right.
Oh, and Corey did the logo for.
It's true. And to be fair, I kind of pitched you to the label because I was working with them a lot on design. So there's that.
Someone can make an
Everything's
infographic of that. That'd be great. Drop it in the comments. All right. So some kind of observations about 2015 as a whole, as a scene. Corey, you can go over some of these notes here, the ones that you added to the doc.
Okay, so they're more just notes of what I was like listening to and kind of things that I think were overlooked after looking at your list. First and foremost, still overlooked is Runaway Brother. Their album, it looks like it's pronounced Mother, but it's actually Mother, I think. Something weird. Anyway.
It's Mother.
Or Mother. Okay. Well, yeah, there you go. It's that. And the album is great. It came out early 2015. I honestly, I thought they were gonna blow up. I don't know. I really compared them to, Modern Baseball or something like that at the time. Sonically, I expected them to get a lot bigger, but they're still kind of, they have their own following for sure, but they're underrated. It's sad.
Yeah, they were on this list. It just didn't get shit for votes, which is unfortunate because they're kind of like the sidekicks where everyone that's in bands love them, but I don't think the kids.
Yeah, like a band's band. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. And just Tiny Engines in general around 2014, 2015 was super important. Another release I liked a lot from 2015 that I think was overlooked, probably or definitely definitely was probably overlooked by most people was the kind of like spitting Warren Franklin split on Top Shelf Records. Kind of like spitting is one of my, or if not my favorite band. They're fucking amazing, and it was really cool to see them come back like after, I guess they broke up or took a hiatus and then came back and did this split. And so pretty long. It's like 2 EPs basically by each band, and that was cool. And then they broke up again, which I assume is forever. But that was an awesome release. And then a lot of Broken World. Dude, Broken World was super popping in 2015. I don't know, like, it's kind of a blur of all the bands because they released so much stuff. But I was doing a lot of work with them, and also on my notes here, Marietta, As It Were. That was a pretty significant album. And then, as I kind of mentioned before, The Obsessives, Heck No Nancy, which I guess I'm kind of biased, but I feel like that kind of was an important album for 2015, like, and moving forward, like, for the scene, I guess, or whatever, again, you want to call it. I don't know what to name everything, but
As a high schooler from 2015, that record was absolutely important. Like, at least in like my group of people, it was a hugely important record.
Yeah, I think I've seen like Rylan from Origami Angel say shit like, this is like the album that made him want to make music and stuff.
That's actually really cool to hear. Like, I know there's definitely a handful of people that have been inspired by it, but I feel like I don't see or hear about it as much because I feel like there is a pretty big like age gap between the people who I feel like it was probably most inspiring to, just because of the age the Obsessives were, and how, not that I'm like some old man or anything, but I'm 28 now, and when it put it out I would have been like 24, and the Obsessives, they were still in high school though, so I was still like, you know, a little bit older than their like specific demographic. But yeah,
I also want to say like I'm also 28, and like watching you and James or mostly just James just being like transparent about everything online, and like them, and just like you two being like, this is our favorite band, like we're like doing this all ourselves, was just like incredibly inspiring, and like just like me wanting to support two people like doing this all by themselves was just like the reason why I pre-ordered it. Like, it could have fucking sucked. It obviously didn't, but it was just like everything was just like on the board there.
You pre-ordered it? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Without knowing. Yeah. I felt like a lot of people kind of, they were kind of taking a chance on this too, because they saw that we were at least trying, and it ended up, again, like, I feel like the album, I mean, to date, it's actually one of our best records for sure, as far as success goes or whatever.
So anything else from your list then?
Oso. Dude, I've been I don't know, I wouldn't say an Oso fan since the beginning, just because, or since before that, because State Lines, I love, that was one of the first like emo revival bands I really got into. Like, it just, I don't know, something about his songwriting, and it just reminded me of Third Eye Blind, and his, I don't know, Jay's vocals are so good. So I was like super into State Lines, and then Oso, which was originally the Oso 3 times. I was just super into that, and then when they put out their debut on the Oso, I did a t-shirt for that, whatever, pre-order for the record, and that was the first Oso t-shirt design, I guess. And then in general, that album though, just like, aside from working with them, was definitely one of my favorite records of 2015 and worth talking about. And I will say, I felt like forever Oso was like consistently putting out what I considered like hit catchy records, and they're pretty slept on up until the last, like, I want to say like year or two. It's cool to finally see like them finally getting their, I don't know, due respect, because they were going at it for a while with like no return, it felt like, for how good they are, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Yeah.
they've been killing it lately.
Some of my 2015 observations was like this was a breakout year overall for like emo and like getting into the industry and stuff. But like more than anything, this seemed like the year that anything on an emo label was becoming labeled as emo. Like no matter what you put out on Run for Cover, you were an emo band. Whatever you're putting out on Top Shelf, you were gonna get called an emo band and stuff like that. And like people didn't really seem to like care or like get it. But in retrospect, like I don't know, like we'll totally get into this, but like Turnover, that's I don't know, Turnover is dream pop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were definitely like pop punk prior to this,
Right.
Like songs like stuff like Magnolia, you know. But this was definitely the record where, and I think Title Fight also played a huge role in this, but just kind of that lean into the dreamy, sunny guitar parts. And I believe that actually Turnover doesn't play any of their older songs live anymore because they require an entirely different guitar setup.
I can, yeah, that's gotta be true.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call it Dreamo. Is that a thing? If not,
It is.
Someone said it. God damn it.
According to Spotify categories.
Okay, fuck it. I never said it. I don't care about it. Anyway,
There's this band Floral Tattoo that's Dreamo. We've had Gwen on. And I think that some of Lens's Maps' stuff could be classified as Dreamo too.
But I mean, like, I think it only got worse after 2015 for things being classified as emo because, you know, the next year we got Pine Grove and everyone was like calling a fucking alt country band emo because of who they tour with and stuff.
yeah.
But yeah,
If I like a band, they're emo, and the more I like it, the more emo they are.
it's like,
I do feel like that, man, that around 2014, 2015, and definitely 2016, that like you were just saying, like everything was emo, like just depending on what label, but that word is being tossed around so much. Like I feel like it's dying down for sure, but like, man, people really did say that word a lot, and really, it was so vague. I don't know. It still is really, but
yeah, but I think there's definitely something to say about like I don't know. I can totally see like Pitchfork and Spin being like, oh, call this band emo because we'll get some more clicks or something. Like I don't know. People were reaching for emo in 2015.
yeah, it was like
Oh, definitely.
it was like trendy.
Yes.
Like it was, but to like non emo or whatever people, like people outside, like to regular people or whatever you know what I mean, like people outside of our specific scene.
To the filthy casuals, yeah.
Exactly. Like there was people, you know, like college kids, you know, that were into modern baseball and stuff that didn't, you know, listen to emo like that, but they thought they did. You know, like it's weird to say it's peaked, you know. I mean, at least whatever that specific moment was.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like you know, like in an art movement, you can't like define it until after it's happened. And I feel like there's something that's already happened that, you know, has ended, that could be defined as something, I guess. Do you guys feel that way?
Yeah, I think a large part of what happened was these bands were kind of like achieving, if not quite mainstream success, then definitely like something above the previously very DIY, very subterranean level that they would have been on prior, in large part due to like a lot of the smash hits from the year before, like You're Gonna Miss It All and Home Like No Place. And then I think what happened is that the zeitgeist of youth music really shifted from emo to rap, and then around 2016 is where like emo rap came into the picture, and because we had already cast such a wide net with what we were calling emo, that kind of got dragged into it and shifted the quote unquote Overton window of what we were talking about. And then, of course, the emo rap stuff got way more popular than any of the stuff ever was.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like it was also like kind of what you were saying, but like some of the bands going off in their own direction and kind of becoming their own thing and less DIY, less dependent on a scene, you know, and just kind of climbing their own ladder, if you will. I feel like it's bands doing that, like the ones that got really big and succeeded, and then a lot of bands breaking up, and then personally, this is probably a hot take, but I feel like some of it did die too from, and I'm not blaming it solely on this or anything, but I feel like a lot of it did die from around the Me Too movement.
What do you mean by that? Like in the sense that a lot of bands started getting called out, and
Yeah,
so like a lot of the momentum kind of just stopped in its tracks.
Yeah, I feel like it affected a lot of people and a lot of different scenes and stuff. I feel like it affected the type of emo scene that we're talking about, in a sense that a lot of bands either broke up or certain bands weren't touring together anymore and that sort of thing. I just feel like I remember
For sure. I think
around
Jank
that
is probably the biggest example of what you're talking about.
Jake's a perfect example. That's actually who I was thinking of. Broken World, as a label, that was a pivotal. That the label ending changed a lot of things. I feel like for that scene, as a whole.
That's a really good observation, actually. And I think that what's happening now is kind of like, I think emo's kind of having a little bit of a resurgence in 2019. Partly is like, all the new blood that's come in, plus all the people from that past scene who are kind of rebuilding from the ashes.
Yeah, I feel like, again, this moment in time that we're talking about, it was so influential that it's going to create like inspiring bands that are going to come from, inspiration from that sort of music. So we'll keep seeing it, and there's still bands, like you said, like that are still going, that either we're always going, or just like picking up the pieces basically.
And it's like starting like younger and younger.
Yeah. Commander Salamander and Origami Angel and Shingard are all like absurdly young. Like that's insane.
I mean, not always, but that's kind of how it goes. I've noticed, like, just as I get older, like, I mean, the like, I don't know, like the teens and early college age, they kind of, I don't know, I feel like they kind of control everything. Like after I kind of aged a little bit past the specific, like after I graduated college and everything, like I just realized how important, I don't know, basically that demographic like controls a lot of the stuff, I feel like. But
well, yeah, because they're the most loyal ones, and they're the ones most likely to like spend money like on the bands.
Yeah, the money. Yeah, it's the money.
Yeah.
And
follow the money, follow the paper trail.
And it's like a social thing, like with shows and stuff, like, and that's high schoolers and college people going out to shows.
Yeah, because that's definitely the easiest time in your life to just like go to shows constantly.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Isaac, you've toured like summer after summer and stuff. Do you see that?
I mean, yeah, it is a lot of like young audiences. A lot of the time, we play with a lot of like high school bands.
Hell yeah!
Which it's definitely an experience. I don't know. I've noticed that for some reason, a lot of Barely Civils crowds, especially, are like older, sometimes older than us. But like,
it's probably because you sound like Death Cab.
Probably. But we do end up playing with a lot of like high schoolers. On this last tour, we played a show where the closing local was these like 16-year-olds, and they covered Joyce Manor, and the drummer like cut his hand open during their set and stopped the song, and the singer asked if anyone had a Band-Aid, and then I think the drummer's mom like called him a pussy. So
That is so fucking sick.
Yeah, playing with high school bands. I mean, there's some good ones, but like, there's some wild things that happen.
So is that it for like the overall observations? So everyone get like all the things out.
I think so.
So do we want to like do like a quick rundown of the records here?
Yes. All right. So I called these top two top dogs. The World Is with Harmlessness that had the most votes, and then Peripheral Vision was a close number two. So Harmlessness, I mean, some quick thoughts from me. This is my favorite The World Is record. I think it is. I think Whenever If Ever is like a perfect debut LP, but like Harmlessness is like their masterpiece. Just everything about it, just like it, the whole thing has like a bigger scope than Whenever If Ever. The instrumentation is huge. It's the album art, like just like the whole mood on it too. It just, to me, is just perfect. But I'll let y'all go off on that one too.
So I do generally prefer the stuff prior to this record. I do think it's still really good. I think it is. There's still like some traces of emo in there, but I do think it's like where the band started going full force into kind of that like post-rock flavored indie with like some occasional post-hardcore flourishes. It's also got Diana the Hunter on it,
Yes.
which is a fucking masterpiece of a song.
Yep.
Like that might
Yep.
actually be my favorite World Is song. It's like an artistic accomplishment by any metric to be able to like put all these musical ideas together under one umbrella and have them logically flow into each other from one track to the next is really, really impressive.
Yeah, not to be like hyperbolic, but I think this might be one of the best records ever made. Just like in the whole, kind of the scope of what it captures. I absolutely never shut up about this record, especially when it first came out. To the point where like my high school psychology teacher knew that I was going to see The World Is and asked me to buy him a copy of Harmlessness because I told him about it.
That's pretty dope.
It was really cool. He listened to it and then didn't like it that much, but like he knew about it.
That's interesting knowing where you're from.
Yeah, it's a record that like got out, I guess. You
Yeah.
know?
I feel like they got pretty big, like on an indie.
Yeah, for
level.
sure.
Like a pitchfork indie sort of whatever. But yeah, the album to me, like I mean, I already stated earlier how like I was working really closely with them around that time and just I don't know, talked to a lot of the members and stuff. So like I was definitely really in tune to everything they were doing, and I feel like that album in particular was I feel like their best body of work, and I remember the production just being such a upgrade from everything they've done, and I mean I know the drums, you know, like are some of them are like replace samples and whatnot, not to get like too nerdy or whatever, which people can argue about, but with that said, I still think like I think it's extremely well done, and the production is actually what really turned me on to it, aside from the songs just being really like well done and cohesive, and like I said, they're the strongest body of work in my opinion as far as front to back, you know.
Mm-hmm. And remember that like video? I don't know if what it was supposed to be. It was just those two live sessions of them playing in a church.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I've watched those like every day. They're so fucking good. I love them. Yeah.
I totally forgot about that session or whatever it was until like yesterday or the other day when they announced they're releasing like a B-sides 12-inch.
Yeah.
Or like a B-sides and rarities 12-inch, which it had a picture from that session though, like in the announcement I saw, which made me remember that church in that Erie session. It was really well done. It was crazy.
Yeah, I loved it.
I felt like that was sound wise, like that was like peak The World Is. No offense to anyone in that band at all. Just like the community around the band and everything like was just, I don't know, super cool at the time.
One of the things I remember most from this was the promo cycle around it, because there was like the harmlessness.horse website
Oh yeah, fuck.
where it was, I don't remember what song it was, but when you went to the website, it took you to one of the songs, but it was like backwards. And they were just doing a lot of like really weird stuff with the promo.
That was honestly something else I loved about the World was their branding and their natural ability for crazy marketing that just worked. Like, I don't know, like everything they did, and around that time as well, I guess Broken World too, just like all that crazy, wacky shit, that those ideas they'd come up with. I thought that it was really clever, and it really worked too. And some of the dumb ideas would really probably made them a decent amount of money. It's kind of crazy.
Wasn't 2015 also the year that they had the whole every cop should blow their brains out thing on Twitter?
Ooh, I want to say that was later, but
Later?
I don't know.
No, because I remember being in Chicago when that happened.
Oh, damn.
So
okay.
it had to have been 2015 at the latest.
Wasn't it like turn in your
was
badge
that-
and blow your face off or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that from the band account?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I also remember that being like a turning point because while they were the biggest they'd ever been, I remember a lot of people being like, "I'll never listen to The World Is again" because they said that.
Yeah, people were mad.
People were really mad about that.
For some reason, I don't remember it, but I am like, that's not crazy to me to think that they said that. However, whatever that means, but yeah, that I feel dumb for not remembering that, considering everything else I've said.
I mean, I personally like understand the sentiment that they were coming from. There probably were better ways of saying it than advocating suicide, but like that was also around the time that like the whole Eric Garner thing was happening. So I think that was kind of just like their response to the social atmosphere.
I also, not to defend them because I don't really talk to too many of them anymore, but they were kind of like I don't want to say like a comedy band by any means, but they had a kind of a comedy edge to them, you know, with their like, especially their online presence. They would joke around a lot, basically. So
Yeah.
Oh, for
I feel
sure.
like-
But this
I feel
was
like
like markedly not a joke.
Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna say, I feel like if anything, it sounded like something they would just like do, being stupid, and it went wrong. But yeah, I don't even remember it, so I guess I can't speak on it.
It
Yeah,
was
I mean,
definitely like
I
an angry
it's-
thing.
Oh, they're
I
like
think that it
serious.
sounds like a bit, but they were dead serious. Yeah.
Well, I can't defend them on that, but it happened, I guess.
So turnover.
Turnover, Peripheral Vision also came out in 2015, and it kind of came out of nowhere. They were pop punk bands on the Run for Cover Records, and then they came up with this whole new crazy sound that everyone wanted to ape right after this album came out.
Yep. I remember being really impressed with just kind of like how y'all were talking about with Harmlessness. I thought the production on Peripheral Vision was like out of this world good. Especially stuff like that climax and cutting my fingers off. I was listening to it and I was like, I could see a similar band from the 90s trying to do this, but they wouldn't have been able to pull it off like without today's technology.
But like, it's really just like clean guitar tones and like nice atmospheres and all this stuff. Like it, like I remember just this is when Run for Cover was just killing it on YouTube. Like, what's his nuts from the band was like going over his guitar rig, and it's just like him and like one guitar pedal. It's just like this is just like the simplest shit, and for some reason it just blew our minds.
Yeah.
I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I think I need to formulate my thought a bit more. So,
I was just gonna say, I think it might have impressed more people, more younger people who maybe haven't heard as much stuff, and that's no slam to like anyone or anything. But I feel like it was kind of like a mature shift in a sound, and for those sort of pop punk or whatever kids at the time, I feel like hadn't really dove to that sort of music, so I feel like it maybe impressed a lot of people more. I mean, not saying it's an unimpressive record, but I feel like it maybe made a bigger impression because of that, because of the fan base and those sort of kids not hearing that sort of stuff.
See,
And
I think what
honestly,
you're
like,
saying applies perfectly to the Title Fight record, more so
Yes.
than this record,
Yes,
because
exactly.
like this is like simple and like very effective. I don't know. I think like anyone can like this record. It's like that simple and that great and that perfectly well produced and stuff. But like I think like what you're saying applies to Title Fight in the way that's like they are clearly just like going for like the whole heavy shoegaze thing.
yeah, for sure, completely dove in, and I feel like Turnover did it with that whole new genre too. And like here's my take on the album. So like I was never like a huge Turnover fan prior to the album, by the way. Like I was just I guess you could say a fair weather fan. Like I think they're good, but I wasn't like an avid listener. But anyway, when the album came out, obviously like I was paying attention to it, and I think it's good. I think the production, I think it's good, but I think that the songwriting with the production, it's a little linear to me, and some people like
sure.
that.
That's
And-
why it's accessible. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And this isn't a slam to my girlfriend by any means, but that was the album that she really got into them, and I feel like she's way more picky on I guess you could say like emo sort of stuff. So I feel like this album really kind of gave him a whole new audience to like the pitchfork indie or whatever you want to call it, like I've been saying, and just gave him a wider demographic in general. But personally,
And weirdly enough, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say personally for me, like I liked it. I remember I liked it live more. And I remember like there's certain like that there's really catchy songs, but just what the linearness of it is just the one thing that always bugged me. But I get why other people like it, and I respect what they're doing. Like I like they're good at what they do.
I think that this was the album that, like, weirdly enough, broke them in pop punk, rather than like indie rock, because it was basically taking these like pop punk songs and applying, stuff that like Chapter House and Galaxy 500 were doing like 20 years before, to like you said, like a linear pop punk type of song structure, and like really easy to grasp onto and sing along to lyrics, and that was kind of just like candy for that crowd.
Yeah, and looking back, I do want to say for me not being the biggest fan of Turnover compared to most of my friends, I feel like that album though was definitely important in it, like in its own right. I just feel like I'm just recognizing I'm not maybe the exact person for it, but like for the band and for Run for Cover, I feel like that was just like kind of an important shift in time and sound and maturity for the label.
I don't know. I always felt like the songs all kind of like they were good, but they sounded the same. It sounded like the same song 10 times or whatever.
That's kind of what I meant, like by the linearness.
Yeah,
Like
if you like one, you'll like them all though. But it's just if you're into that sort of chill music, but it sounds like you don't like the linear sort of sound. But for instance,
this is exactly how I feel about American football.
Dude, I was about to say I love Owen so much, but Owen is so linear. So like I'm call me a hypocrite or whatever, but like Owen is super linear for the most part, most albums. But anyway, yeah, like I will say I do sleep to it a lot though, so that kind of speaks for itself, I guess. But still yeah, some linear music can be good because, like I said, if you like it, you like it all. So like,
it's not a bad thing by any means. It's a good record. I mean, my dad likes it, so like it's a record that's easy to like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last thing I was gonna say, just about Turnover, that I will say that I am more of a fan of. So far, I haven't heard their newest album, but I've heard the singles. But I feel like I am a bigger fan of this album than their two most recent, or their stuff after, if you will. Just personally, I guess.
Same.
Or at least Good Nature, because I haven't heard the new ones, so I can't say yet. But and that's just as a casual turnover fan, so I feel like I'm not the best person to even speak on it, but that's how I.
So
Tyler from Stars Hollow tweeted something the other day about how the Turnover drummer has been playing the same beat since 2015. Like, I was listening to the album for this episode, and I realized that he's exactly right.
you should fill in on a tour.
Absolutely. I'll do it. Turnover call.
So whenever there's like a huge record, I like to go and find like how many times the record has been pressed. Does anyone want to guess what press they're on now?
It's the 12th, right?
Or 12.
It's
Yeah,
the 12th with 5,000 pressed on the 12th pressing.
Oh my god.
Jesus Christ.
The ninth press was 6,500 pressed.
Someone cannot like their cigarette, and it's really funny.
It's
Maybe
a blunt.
Yeah, I was gonna say someone's
Sorry.
hitting something
Oh,
else.
My bad. Anyway, sorry, I was wrong on the 16th press, but I saw him post about it. That's why I knew it was extremely high, and I couldn't believe that because, man, they've been cranking those out. But I will say I love the labels that continue to do different variants or whatever. Like, even if it's in bigger numbers, I think they should do it like that, obviously, if it's in demand, but just to keep, I don't know, like, keep things interesting. They don't just give up and do Black forever.
Mm-hmm.
I respect that.
Same.
I feel like Run for Cover has a lot of those records that are on like an absurdly large number of pressing variants just because like that's the record that the kids like the self-titled Tiger's Jaw record.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, we got lots of basic bitches in that pool.
It's true. I will say it can get out of hand, but I just respect the ones who don't give up and just do Black forever. Like some like, for instance, like Saddle Creek. I love that label, but they'll do like typically like one color and then like a pre-order color and then Black forever after that.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's nothing wrong with Black vinyl, but as an artist, I think you can get way more creative and do cool variants.
Yeah. One last point on vinyl and stuff. A fun fact about the Knocked Loose record, a different shade of blue. They used every type of blue that the pressing plant had for like all their different first pressings. They had like blue mixed into everything, but it was like every shade of blue that they could have used. I thought that was really creative.
Yeah, that's cool. I believe it.
That's clever.
I've seen some pictures and saw a lot of the blues for sure.
Yeah. All right, so we're on to some big dogs. We've got Marietta, As It Were, Foxing, Dealer, Title Fight, Hyperview, Oso Oso, Real Stories, and Me Without You, Pale Horses. I'll run through some thoughts on these really quick. As It Were, this was my first taste of Marietta. Dug it. Did they also break up this year?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were broken up before the album actually came out, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I remember seeing the music video and everything was like, this is sweet emo. And then I didn't hear Summer Death until like 2 years after that. Foxing Dealer, I still think this is a stinker. Title Fight Hyperview was 100% on board. I love this record. I thought it was, I mean, honestly, it's pretty bold because Title Fight were the biggest that they were, and they just hit us with this, and it was, seeing it in rear view, like, there is some progression into this, but they went fully into it, and I thought it was sick. Oso Oso, Real Stories, criminally underrated. Oso Oso release, at least it was when it came out. And then Pale Horses, I really like this one. This is probably like the most I've heard of a Me Without You record because I was really listening to this one when it came out, and it's like kind of like a tough listen, but also very rewarding.
Word. My quick thoughts. Marietta, I've seen like kind of a contrarian take lately that's growing in popularity is that this is actually the better Marietta record. Not sure how much I agree with that. I do like it more than Summer Death, but I was never like a huge fan of this band. And then Foxing Dealer, I hate this album. Title Fight Hyperview, I love everything Title Fight's ever done. Like you said, it's really cool that, I mean, you could definitely like see it's coming in retrospect, but at the time I was like, oh shit, I guess Title Fight discovered Cocteau Twins and Maisie Star. So that was like just like a really cool moment, and I think it is better written and with more variance than Peripheral Vision, which is the most immediately comparable record. Oso Oso, Real Stories. This is a solid foundation to what they would go on to do. I don't think it's slept on as much as it used to be.
Yeah.
But I do think that the stuff they did later is better. Like, it has like much stronger structures and less repetition. And then Me Without You, Pale Horses. One of my favorite Me Without You records. Definitely the record that cemented that they were having like a renaissance of popularity of sorts.
Which is like almost all indebted to Run for Cover having like the fucking fire that they had going when this came out.
For sure, yeah.
Okay, so my rundown, Marietta, as it were. I helped release it, so I love the album. I have seen people talk about Summer Death and comparing the two. I don't know how I feel either, but I do like As It Were a lot, and I've listened to Summer Death more because it's older, but I think I might like As It Were more, unrelated to releasing it. If anyone's listening, I really do want to repress it, by the way. People ask all the time, and I'll try. I've been trying. We'll see. But anyway, Foxing Dealer, compared to the album, prior, the Albatross, I was really into that previous sound, and it'd be cool to hear more of that, so I wasn't crazy about this album. Title Fight, I've never really been a Title Fight fan, and haters
Get
can
the
hate.
fuck off this podcast.
Yeah, anyway, so Oso, great band, like I said. Not their best album, like you guys said, like they went on. I feel like each album gets better. So
Yeah.
that is what it is. Me Without You, out of this list, I want to say might be the. I mean, that it's I'm gonna say it's the best album, and I didn't listen to it initially when it came out. Like maybe even an entire year later, I was in this weird, like, I hadn't listened to Me Without You forever. I listened to him a lot, like, growing up in, like, high school, and I hadn't in a while, and I was in this weird phase, and I was really impressed, especially for how old they were, like, as a band, and I feel like it's one of their best albums, for sure. I think it's better than their most recent, to be honest, but, Pale Horses is great. You guys disagree?
I really like their most recent.
I think Pale Horse is better, though.
I think Pale Horse is better.
I mean, neither record is better than Cash for Us the Foxes, which I think is their best. But
I'm not going to go down the catalog argument. There's so many. But I'll give the Untitled more of a chance. It just never clicked for me yet. But Pale Horses, it took me forever. But the album's so good. I feel like it's one of their best as far as, like, returning to an album constantly.
Yeah, personally, I have like really strong memories associated with all of the Big Dogs records. I'll try and keep them quick. Marietta, I knew about because of Nearman releasing it, and I downloaded it and listened to it on the bus on the way to school and immediately hated it.
Awesome.
But then, like last year, I kind of revisited Marietta and fell in love with them, and now it's a good record. Dealer, I loved at the time, and looking back on it now, it's like super front loaded. It kind of gets weaker in the middle and at the end. But I remember talking about that album a lot with people in high school. Hyperview, I had a friend who was like really into pop punk Title Fight, and one day he like came up to me and he was like, "Hey, did you hear this new Title Fight record?" And I was like, "No." and he said it's too soft and I hate it. And I listened to it like the next day, and then immediately went out and purchased both Floral Green and Hyperview from like the local record store because I really liked that a lot. Real Stories, I listened to in a grocery store parking lot and thought it was
That's
boring.
emo.
Came back to it later and it was really good. And Pale Horses soundtracked a trip between Portland and Seattle. So like that record coupled with the phenomenal scenery that you get driving between those cities was a transformative experience for me. That Pale Horses is easily my favorite Me Without You record. But I do like their other stuff also.
Anything else for the big dogs? We have a lot of other dogs to get to.
We do have a lot of dogs.
All right. Going to the little dogs. These are records that appeared on the list and got a decent amount of votes. The other ones that we're going to talk about basically got like a handful of votes. This chunk has my least listened to on it. So we got Sports Demon Days. Is this the Boston sports band?
The European one?
No, that's just Sport singular.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
Well, there's actually two European sports. One is Sport singular, and the other is Sports with a period.
Yes, this is the Boston. Yeah, because this is the one that has the split with Meet Me Montauk and also the split with Perspective. Okay, so this one I've mostly heard in other people's cars. I don't think I've sat down with this one on my own, but I do like it. It's extremely good Twinkle stuff. Adventures, Supersonic Home. I mean, this is more power pop and stuff than anything, but I fucking adore this record. I listened to this today and just made me want to hear another Adventures record. But with all that fucking Code Orange money coming in, I don't think we're gonna get that. Annabelle, Having It All. See, this was one that I almost didn't even put on the list because I didn't know that people liked it, but like everyone was just being like, yo, if this doesn't get it, I'm never listening to your podcast again and stuff like that. So Annabelle fans are fucking out there. Yeah, I didn't listen to this band until I saw them open for the Appleseed cast, and I like really was impressed by them. Yeah, this is like quite good. It's underrated. Tiny Engines release. I do like Youth and Youth a lot, which was a Count Your Lucky Stars record from 2012. I think that's got my favorite songs on it. Desaparecidos Paola. This was like one of my top albums of the year. This one really blew me away, but I mean, it's a Saddle Creek record with it's an Epitaph record, but it's a Conor Oberst record with like guest spots from Tim Kasher and like Laura Jane Grace and all these other people, and it's like ungodly catchy and like huge and anthemic and shit. And Chinese football, like, I don't know, I've never like gotten that down with Chinese football, but whenever I put it on, it's very, very good. Like working music. I don't know. I had a phase where I was only working while listening to math rock, which I know is kind of like not a very good compliment, but Chinese football rock still.
You kind of echoed literally all of my thoughts.
Okay.
On this record. Supersonic Home is like maybe like in the top 3 albums on this list, honestly. Like, I absolutely fucking love this album. And it's not that I don't want Code Orange to keep making music, but I do wish Adventures had been the one that blew up and Code Orange was the side project, which is fucked up because I prefer hardcore shows over power pop shows. But, you know, the songwriting on Supersonic Home is so good.
Did I Am King come out this year?
And
no,
no,
that was
I Am King came out
2014. Okay.
Yeah, which, you know, that was like the breakthrough Code Orange release. So I'm kind of surprised they even found time for Supersonic Home.
Right.
And then the Dessa record is also like untouchably fucking good. Like,
I'm surprised you like it. Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you not think of me as like a Connor Oberst fan because I
Not
do
really.
really like a lot of Connor Oberst stuff. And I think this is like peak, like shattered life Connor lyrics.
Yeah.
Okay, sports. So I've listened to that album like twice on Bandcamp, and I remember liking it. That's all I know about that album. I liked it. Adventures. I like that band and that album, but I didn't return to it a lot. I remember listening to it when it came out. Annabelle. I pre-ordered it on vinyl, and I worked with them around that time. They're a cool band. I like that album. Days of Parasitos, Bright Eyes, and Kind of Like Spinning are my favorite bands. So, like, I'm a huge Connor Oberst fan, but this album didn't initially grab me. I gave it a few chances. I'll have to revisit it because you guys just gave it high reviews, but I was never crazy about it. The most recent Connor thing I liked was that Better Oblivion project. And then Chinese football, I've actually never listened to, but I saw Dog Nights just press their stuff and it sold out really quick. So
Yeah.
I assume that people like them, so it must be good. But I've never heard them, to be honest.
They have this, and then they have another full length, and then, no, they have an EP from earlier this year that came out that people really love. Yeah.
Where are they from?
China.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if they actually were.
Yeah, the singing, it's all in Chinese, in like Mandarin. I think it's really
Check it out. I like Dog Nights a lot. Like, we've done a lot of co-releases together, actually. They helped do Marietta, actually. As
yeah.
it were. Dog Nights. The homies, Darian. Or the homie, rather. Darian. Or Darren.
Yeah, these records, all of the Little Dog records were ones that I didn't get at the time that they came out. Like, all of the ones here that I've listened to are ones that I only picked up after the fact. The only one that I really have any strong opinions about is Adventures, because I listened to that one while I was stuck in Philly for 5 days. Listened to it at James's apartment, and it blew me away. So I love that one.
James loves that album so fucking much.
Yeah, and
This is another
I
shout
can
out
see
to
why.
James, because we gotta get him hit 5 times,
Yeah.
you said?
yeah, I think we've got all 5 at this point.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
One of James Cassar's few good takes.
Yeah. Aside from that, the rest of these, I hadn't really heard that much. I knew Sports because of the tour that they did with Perspective and the Obsessives, and yeah, they're fine. Annabelle, I don't know. The Annabelle record that I knew was Youth and Youth, because I listened to a college radio copy of it that Kyle reviewed.
I reviewed it?
You did, yeah.
Oh.
Your initials are on the thing. Yeah, it's too old for the music library, so now it's in my room. But that's a good record. I listened to this one like earlier today, and it's an Annabelle record. It's fine. Chinese football, I don't know, didn't really grab me at the time. Didn't grab me too much now, and I haven't listened to Dispersitos.
Dude, you have to listen to their first album, for sure.
Yeah.
I think
that's one of my all-time favorite albums.
I think you actually have told me that before, so
You need to.
maybe I'll do that.
I mean, Disappear Seals should really write a record in 2019, because, I mean, given all, like, the political things that they talk about have just gotten worse from Paola to probably now.
I agree with that.
They're like a politics band.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh man.
well, hold on. I will say, though, all politics aside, the real reason I like their first album and not so much their second is the sound. It's all about the actual music. So don't let the politics thing throw you off. It's way more cool and punk on the first album, in my opinion. But not hating on the new one necessarily, because it could be good. I need to give it a chance more, but they're not like a political band. I mean, they are, but like they're not. You know what I mean? It's not like
They aren't, like, anti-flag, but, like...
Okay.
But, like...
It's weird that you say cool and punk because I hear the phrase "cool and punk" and I immediately think political.
Well, whatever. You know, like the way they did it back then, their age, their angst was more.
It was
they
more
were at-
raw.
Yeah, and their angst was more balanced out by their age versus Connor's age now, I guess. But again, I need to listen to their album more.
Yeah. I currently am and was surprised how like not ham-fisted the political lyrics on Paola were, because like they're actually like pretty like well thought out and not just like burn the flag motherfuckers like an anti-flag thing. Like it's actually
Yeah.
I mean, calling a song Maricopa with 3 Ks is ham-fisted, but the lyrics are
But
decently...
also, I'm hella down with spelling America with 3 Ks.
Yeah.
Like, that is bad.
I'll give it another chance. I'm gonna put that on my give it another chance list if one existed.
Okay, I've contradicted myself because the song Anonymous is very ham-fisted because it's about Anonymous. But yeah.
I'm gonna be mad at you if it sucks and I don't like it.
All right.
I mean, it's definitely not, like, V for Vendetta.
Everyone's backing down just because I was gonna listen to it.
No, I'm not backing down. I'm backing up Kyle's statement of it not being that ham-fisted.
I'm just
Like-
messing around.
So the honorary dogs are ones that are a collection of ones that got some votes, but like didn't amount to being anywhere near the list, and some that are just surprisingly didn't get votes at all that are good records. One of those would be Donovan Wolfington with How to Treat the Ones That You Love, which was the record they put out and then broke up. Or no. I think
Waves was the one that they broke up after.
yeah. I believe they like broke up after this record.
They weren't like they weren't like active in between those two albums. So
Right.
that's fair.
Right.
Yeah. I think this record is really good. I think all the Donovan Wolfington records are extremely good. And like and like they all kind of blew me away. Because like the first one was just kind of like out of the blue, really great band, and then this one is just like, oh, what the fuck? There's a hardcore song in the middle of this record.
Hard HXC punk. Yeah.
Did this one not get any votes?
This one didn't get many votes at all.
Yeah.
That's absurd to me.
Yeah.
And it's got the the most played and, in my opinion, best Donovan Wolfington song, Ollie North.
Yeah, that
Like,
song is
yeah.
so catchy.
That whole record is phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, passed the girlfriend test, and that's not a slight to females by any means. Just my girlfriend, she loves like mature music and stuff, but she actually likes Donovan Wolfington a lot too.
Yeah.
And that album specifically, and only that album actually.
Yeah, so that one's incredibly good. Dogs on Acid didn't get many votes at all, but like motherfuckers, you need to listen to this record.
That is a perfect record.
Yes, it's perfect. This was just like a weird thing about this record. It was like one of those, hey, Jade Tree Records, remember us? We're coming back things, and then immediately tank again. This is one of the things that they did.
I miss Jade Tree.
Dogs on
not
Acid
sorry.
had some people from other bands in it, right?
Yeah, it had
Algernon.
Algernon Glocka.
Yeah.
The dude from Hop Along, which is the same guy from Algernon,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
no.
he like toured with them, or no, he like played some shows with them, but I don't think he was writing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, this was definitely more Pete than Joe. I think Joe was like fully focused on Hop Along, like songwriting wise at this time.
Anyway, I remember that whole Jade Tree thing, them coming back, and then, like you said, they actually sold their label or their catalog to Epitaph. But anyway, yeah, I'd never actually checked this album out, and I know people who have said good things about it, so probably should. But yeah, it was a weird time for Jade Tree though.
Mm-hmm. You Blew It was like caught in the middle of that apparently too, like. Yes
and no. Well, I just know that you're probably you're right. Never mind. I'm not getting into it.
I think like someone said something about it on a different podcast, and they were like tied up in it and like quickly got out.
Yeah.
Bay Faction, I didn't listen to this record until way later. I don't know if this is when when Counterintuitive pressed it or anything, but I don't think this record got popular immediately. Can anyone comment on that? I don't really know much about this band. I
want to say it didn't even get popular until a little bit later after Counterintuitive pressed it.
Okay.
But
I guess it did get pressed and everything in 2015.
yeah, I feel like it initially, it was sold for super cheap. I remember that it was like $10. They were selling it for like $10. It was like cheaper than any label were selling records, and they had them for a little bit, and then now they go for a ton of money. But yeah, I've actually never heard the album. I'm not gonna lie. I think I'm actually, I take that back. I think I might have like skimmed some songs at least when it came out, because I was definitely curious, but I don't really remember. But I know people must like it because, like I said, the records go for a lot of money.
That's just like really interesting topic is like where this band's at now, because like they don't want it, like the band basically wants to wipe the record because they don't want to be tied to emo and stuff like that and all this other stuff.
I re-listened to this because I used to think that I liked it because I thought that Sasquatch 22 was like a clever title, cool song, and then I re-listened to it and I think I actually hate it. I think it's actually like quite bad.
That's the only song of theirs I've ever heard. Sasquatch 22 is the only song of theirs I've ever heard because a friend of mine like learned it on guitar my freshman year of college and like showed it to me, and I've never listened to anything else that they've ever done.
Yeah, so have you ever listened to the lyrics of Sasquatch 22 like closely?
Yeah, they're not great.
Yeah, they're fucking gross, dude. Just like projecting like your entire soul onto this girl. And also there's that one fucking the verse. I pulled up the lyrics so I could accurately bash it. So I called the girl that I'm currently having sex with and I said I loved her, but it was over Facebook. She came over that night, we started having sex and it felt fine up until she fucking left and I realized that I tell a goddamn good lie. That is so gross, like unbelievably, like I want to like take a shower. And
what?
I'm not sure if it's like in character, but even like if it is, that's still like
Is this Bay Faction you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's why they want to wipe the album.
Yeah, well,
Well, that's one of the only songs of theirs that's still on streaming. It's one of the only songs from the record that's still on streaming.
Interesting. I was just joking there. Anyway, I don't really know, but interesting. Dude, side note, as someone who does artwork, I have to like write out lyrics sometimes, and there's some weird fucking lyrics out there. I'll say that. Sometimes I'm like, dude, like just certain bands, I'm just like, yo, this shit's creepy. Do
you really want to catch your name for this type shit? Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, another side note about doing this, or a fun fact, I did the original Prince Daddy album artwork for the, what's the album?
I didn't even feel it.
Yeah. They ended up changing it like later. It was a long story, but anyway, I handwrote all the lyrics, and my girlfriend, she would just read them because it took me like days to write them or whatever, and she thought they were fucking weird. Not like creepy weird, just weird. Because I told her the band names too. It was just kind of funny. Anyway.
All right. Next one on here is Pedal Shame. I was surprised this one got some votes because I don't know. I've never really see people out there talking about Pedal that much, but I've listened to this record probably a total of one time.
Yeah, I reviewed this for the college radio station, and I was bored.
Yeah.
I don't know much else about it.
I like their newer the album after that though. Actually has some catchy songs, but I didn't like that one.
She has a really like proper voice for, I guess, emo or scene music in general. And I think I learned sometime last year that like Sheila's like a Broadway like stand-in person, or is
really?
like or is like properly trained vocalist for Broadway and stuff. So
that's cool.
Yeah, that made sense. Pet Cemetery Pets Hounds. I was disappointed with this when it came out because I really liked the EP with the dog on the cover. And I thought this one was a little bit of a step backwards, but I really liked the Pet Sematary record that came out after this, like a fuck ton. So I never really listened to this one that much.
Yeah, this one's like kind of a weird like lull in their discography.
Yeah,
Because has the least amount of bangers.
exactly.
In general, I don't actually get the hype behind Pet Sematary.
Is there hype behind Pet Sematary though?
A little.
A little
There's
bit.
some.
Well, yeah.
I mean, a lot of Evan Weiss projects kind of just like have that hype.
Sure.
They do pretty well.
Yeah.
Pet Sematary, I mean, I feel like they do maybe better in Dowsing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the record before and after this both did like really well, to my recollection. So
Okay.
I do think that this one had a more notably like bigger sound than the previous EP though, and I did like that.
I like the 2 songs about cars, 2 songs with long titles. I think that that's my favorite collection of Pet Sematary songs. Oliver Houston, the Dork Ages EP. I mean, yeah, this thing fucking rocks. And
yeah, it's so sick. this entire band, like, I don't think they ever put out anything less than like A-
right,
material.
perfect way to put it. R.I.P. Oliver Houston. That's such bullshit that they broke up. Meet Me in Montauk, where grass meets pavement. This is a band I heard about, I think, like in 2016, and I had no idea they were like wrapped up in that whole California counterintuitive mom jeans scene until mom jeans
like
happened.
art, right?
Yeah.
Phenomenal record.
Just every time I see their name, it just makes me want to listen to Circus Survive.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I don't actually think this band is that good. Is that like controversial to say?
No, that's not a hot take.
Okay.
Somehow I knew about this band when this album came out, and it has like 2 songs that are entertaining. I do think that the drummer, there's a song where the drummer is doing some like, not like screaming, but like harsher vocals, and I always thought those sounded like good compared to the rest of it.
I mean, yeah, whenever a band like this goes heavier, it's like usually better than the rest of their material. Also, just thinking about this band reminds me of the time that we had a hobo on the podcast and he pronounced their name Meet Me in Montauk. Yeah, that's very him. And like all of us were like too polite to correct him too. Is that it for 2015?
Yeah, unless y'all have anything else to say about the honorary dogs. Okay.
Sick.
Cool. Well, that was 2015. 2016 voting is currently going on now, and it's really confusing me because people are like really out there trying to. I don't know. Like, there's people saying that like Strange Ranger isn't an emo band, but saying like Cymbals Eat Guitars is an emo band, and like where's Jeff Rosenstock, and like where's this,
Oh my God.
and just like I don't know.
Jeff didn't have an album in 2016. We Cool was 2015.
Worry.
Worry was 2017, I thought. Am I crazy? Is that wrong?
That's wrong for sure.
Okay.
Worry's,
I remember being in
Worry's
October of
2016.
what year? Okay. Either way, not an emo artist. Although I will say We Cool was my favorite album of 2015. And if it was emo, I would have waxed poetic about it.
Yeah. But as I told you this morning, like I think the later that, or like, yeah, like the later we get into these years, the more frustrating it's going to be. Just because people have, I don't know, like people didn't have that much about, I mean, people didn't have very many strong opinions about shit in 2011, but like in 2017 or 2018, people are going to be like jumping down our throats about like, where's this record, or like,
Our listenership skews young, and this is where they started getting like heavily involved in the music for sure.
Yeah.